Every single guy at some point in their life will suffer from heartbreak, and there's so many of them. Me personally, my first actual one, and just to give a little bit of context, this isn't like to toot my own ass or anything. Just to give a little bit of context, I've actually had quite a few girlfriends really early on in life. Like from 14 to 17, I've maybe had like 15, close to 20 girls that like I've been quote unquote close with. But there was one specifically this past year that really messed me up. I was with this girl for about a year and a half. We were very close. It was like any like teenage type of relationship. We were talking every day. We were hanging out. But this one felt a little bit different. This was the first girl that was actually religious that I was with. And I'd gotten to the point to where in like my journey with God to where that's all I really focused on. And this was around the time as well when I told you how I had like all these partners before and whatever. Let's just say she's number 15 for the sake of rounding. I'd gotten to this point to where after 13, I was like, okay, I'm not going to screw around anymore. I did like my fuckboy phase really early in life. I think a lot of guys who are on some type of like self-improvement journey or on any type of like weird revenge type of journey after heartbreak or before heartbreak or just for the sake of like the game will go through that phase. I went through mine very early. And during this time before her, I was single for a couple months, whatever. That's the longest I'd been single since like elementary school. So think about that, since like grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like since 10 years old. That was the longest period I was single. It's like 3-4 months. And I thought to myself, and I don't remember exactly, but I made some type of prayer to God saying that I'm not going to get into another relationship until I think that I have found my wife. And thought I did. It was an amazing feminine girl. She was beautiful, genuinely like 10s all across the board, like genuinely gorgeous, probably like the prettiest girl I've been with, to be quite honest. Well, maybe not. at the time for sure. It felt like this was going to be my wife. It felt like that I was getting this calling from God, that we both agreed that we were going to be together for the rest of our lives. I was 15, 16. She was 17, 18. She was 2 years older than me. That didn't matter. It was a good dynamic. We knew like all of our like feminine and masculine roles. Like we would walk down the road, I'd be on the outside, so I would like catch the car with one arm and I'd pick it up like the Hulk and I'd throw it 50 feet forward and I'd protect her and all these things. I had no money at the time. I would pay for dates. I would pay for all of the stuff. We would do presents and gifts, and I'd get random like notes and origami. She learned how to do origami for me, and she was an amazing singer, and she was an artist, and all like the traditional like feminine traits. She would bring me food and cook me food, like breakfast in the morning before we would go to school. It was absolutely fantastic. After a while, I knew deep down that something was off, but it wasn't a strong enough feeling to where I knew that anything was wrong necessarily. You know that feeling when you're doing something that's, you know, is sin, but you just keep doing it? This was around the time we started to get more intimate with one another, and we'd always been like very physical, and I think that was a huge mistake with our relationship, is that it was a lot about like sex, and it was about like making out and holding hands and hugging and cuddling and all that type of stuff, which I don't think is necessarily bad. Just when you're starved after never doing that before, especially when you have like, just to put it plainly, she was hot, I'm hot, I have like a good physique, I'm like covered up, whatever, but like you can even see like a bit of the bicep peek through like the through like this jacket. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing this, it's because it's cold as shit in here. Like if I'm to show you, I'm wearing like a collared shirt underneath this with a chain. This is what I'm supposed to record in, but it's cold, so I'm not here. I'll unzip it for you so you can see my chain and my beauty. Anyways, I also have a watch on. This is what I normally record in. I'm just cold, bro. It was an amazing relationship at the time, amazing dynamic, but it had got to the point to where we kind of like lost that connection. It was just the physicality, and it was just like smashing, and it was just, and this was like 16 years old, right? It would just smashing, and it would just like physical traits. After she had graduated high school, I still had 2 more years left. And it just wasn't working. And I can go into all of the details about why and all the things and whatever. But to put it quite bluntly, you can be blinded very heavily by love. And at least for me, at least the type of guy that I am. How do I phrase this? There's 2 different types of breakups. There's ones where you break up because you know you aren't good for each other, and there's breakups that you weren't good enough. Depending on how I frame it, I could be either. And I'm going to choose, and that's part of the lesson that I'm going to give you, and that's part of the advice that I'm going to give you, of I'm going to choose to say that it just wasn't working. And the other person wasn't good enough. She wasn't good enough. And obviously I made mistakes and I wasn't good enough in any ways. And I think as a man, you need to take absolute responsibility for when you go through these things. And you need to say that, yes, it is my fault. Yeah, it didn't work out. Yeah, whatever. But not your fault as in like a toxic way. But your fault was in there were decisions I could have made that could have been better, that would have led to a better outcome. So yes, I take responsibility for this. And I 100% do that. I had made the mistake of getting with a very, like, not promiscuous, but a very physical type of relationship that just wouldn't have worked long term. Over time, I had realized that kind of like my fire had died out. And I was always like a super productive, like gym going hard worker, like working on online business and trying to get more people inside of my products and all of these different types of things. And during that relationship, especially at the tail end, I had lost it. It was staying up for way past my bedtime, waking up way later than I was supposed to. Instead of doing the work I was supposed to, it was hanging out with her. Instead of hanging out with my friends, it was hanging out with her. It was all these things. And I had gained like this massive, like feminine energy that I just didn't like. And it was only after the fact I realized. My advice to you is, and now that it's been 7 minutes, my advice to you is, it's always going to be painful to think back on. And again, I'm not saying this to like toot my own ass. I've been with like double digits girls in like 3 years. I've done at least 5 a year. And that was with being in a 1.5 year long relationship. Think about how insane that is. It was almost 2 years. I was like a month off of 2 years. Think about how fucking crazy that is, that I've like had that life experience as a young man, like 15, 16, 17 years old. I remember every single one pretty vividly. And it leaves you with this element of emptiness. And it leaves you with this element of, I wouldn't say regret for me, but for a lot of people it would be regret. I personally think that it's helped me grow in a lot of ways, and I think that it makes me a lot more mature that I have done that. But it leaves you with like this negativeness. And to be quite honest, you're probably never going to forget this person. And the further you went with them, the more your souls have kind of mixed. How I like to think about it is when you get physical with a person, when you get intimate with a person, your souls mix in a way that isn't really detachable. You can maneuver it, you can water it down, but it's not just going to go away. It mixes, right? If I don't know if you're able to see this. I don't want to pour it everywhere. If I have coffee, if I mix instant coffee with water and then I mix it, you can't just separate it. Now, some nerd will be like, oh, actually, the chemicals, shut up. You don't just separate it. But if you put enough water, it basically becomes clear. You need to give this time and you need to fill this with different emotions. You are in control of how you think and how you feel. Your brain has automatic thoughts and it has conscious thoughts. Your automatic thoughts right now are going to be sad. It's going to be thinking about her. It's going to be feeling depressed. It's going to be wanting to take no action. You can choose to go against them. It is difficult. It's so hard. But you're going to remember this experience for the rest of your life. I went through the breakup I'm talking about just a few months ago. For about 2 months, I was scrolling. I was fucking missing her. I was listening to old songs, thinking about her. I couldn't go through my photos and delete any pictures. Whenever I did see a picture, I had to delete it instantly. I never cried. I never sat up in a ball and just like rotted in my bed. I was always doing something because that's just the type of person that I am. But I wasn't me. And the thing is, during this period, you're not you. And you need to be able to show yourself who you actually are. And the only way to do that is to, yes, you're going to have these negative emotions towards it, but you need to flip it into something that's useful. Instead of being sad, be angry. Anger leads to massive drive. When was the last time you had a fire? When was the last time you had a mission that you were dead set on? That you were like, this is what I'm doing. I don't give a fuck what anybody else says. This is me. This is who I am. Literally say your first and last name and say, I, X, Y, and Z. This is who I am. Say, I, Brandon Maloney, am doing this. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anybody thinks. This is my mission until I decide to change it. When was the last time you had that level of conviction? Most people, it's like 2020, 2022, COVID times. When was that? When did you have that level of oomph in your step? Take this as the opportunity. Take this as your ability to show yourself, to show God that your heart is broken and you're the best you've ever been. Because you're going to be a little bit sad right now. But as you, in your own head, say, this sucks, but it's supposed to. And you might be thinking, well, why is it supposed to? I don't want to feel sad. No. You feel sad now so you don't feel sad later. That's the thing that I was missing for a long time, is that I would always feel sad about breakups, about whatever, and I would replace it with someone else. And I would replace it, and I'd add more like different. We used the coffee example before. I had coffee, and then I had some green tea, and then I added some soda, and then some sparkling water, and then whatever. Flavored sparkling water for the sake of the example. And some fucking kimchi. Dated an Asian bitch. They're fun. They have Teslas. You have all these people coming in and you're not watering it down. You need to take this opportunity to be single. At least this is advice to me. Take this opportunity to be single, and take this opportunity. This is advice for everybody. Take this opportunity to be your best self, to improve to the point to where this never ever happens again. I'm trying to hit this point super hard, so I'm going to say it again. It is supposed to suck balls. God gave you this emotion. God made you think in this way. He allowed it to enter your mind because you're supposed to learn from it. You're supposed to be in pain. You're supposed to, anytime you have like that shiny object syndrome. Shiny object syndrome is like, let's say you have a goal and something else comes in. Let's say you're trying to get really good at fitness, for example, but then your friends keep offering you junk food and you really want the junk food. You're seeing a shiny object. You're seeing the junk food and you go, shit. Well, one won't hurt, and then you eat it and then your fitness goal gets worse. It takes you away from the mission. You're supposed to use this as your motivation to stay on the task and to avoid this shiny object syndrome of a girl who, yeah, she's pretty, yeah, she's attractive, yeah, she's fun to be around, but she's not your wife. If she's not your wife, then it's just going to hurt at the end. And yeah, if you're able to dull yourself down to where it's just for lust and it's just for like the fun and the pleasure of it, and then you never speak to her again. Again, putting different like liquids inside of the drink, inside of your soul. And yeah, you can water it down, yeah, whatever, but they're always going to be there. And I think after a certain point, it becomes so impure that there's no fixing it. Like take Bonnie Blue, for example. She's like a porn star, OnlyFans person who slept with 1,000 men in 24 hours. Think about how fucking insane that is. Have you ever seen a room with 1,000 people? Look up a picture right now on Google of 1,000 people. She slept with that many dudes in a 24-hour period. On average, I think it was like every 47 seconds it was a new guy. Literally, look at it. We're 14 minutes into this. Look at the timestamp. It's about to be 15 minutes. The thing might be different because of editing or whatever. But we're about to be 15 minutes in. Literally look at the timestamp. 47 seconds from now, a minute from now, and be like, oh my God, she would have slept by 16, 17 dudes by now, 18 dudes by now, with a 47-second average. Do you think that has an effect on someone's soul? Even if you don't believe in souls, which you're just objectively wrong, because the idea of a soul means that you have one. Because if it's an idea, if you believe that someone's soul allows them to be kind, generous, giving, loving, whatever, allow them to develop connections like this example, then it exists, even if it's just an idea. So shut the fuck up. Do you believe that has an effect on your soul? The more people you're with, the more it's going to dwindle on that. So this is your opportunity to be who it is you want to be. Be someone who you would choose. Because a lot of guys, just to put it blunt from the fucking young guy, you're fat, you're ugly, you're out of shape, you don't have as much money as you'd like, you aren't very charismatic, you're awkward and nervous, and you can't talk to people, and you're not very happy in your day-to-day, and you have no important stories, and you've done nothing interesting, and you haven't traveled anywhere, and you haven't done anything stupid or fun or exciting. Think about your dad. Do you think your dad, if he was you, would have got your mom? A lot. Maybe it's just me, but my dad's a very interesting guy. He was in the military for 10 years. He has tons of stories about him almost dying, hang out with friends. He did martial arts all his childhood. He was second in his class for like the high like military program. I forgot what it was. First in his class for a different like military program. He worked at like one of the top military facilities, like a bodyguard. I don't know if it's military, but it's like it works with the military. So basically same shit. His job now, I'm very fortunate. I'm growing up in a like upper middle class household. We have money. My dad makes money. He's charismatic. He's fucking funny. He's still good looking. He's almost 60 years old. He works with some of the best companies in the world and is like tech support for them. Not like the Indian, like I'm going to fix your computer, but like an American tech support company. So yeah, he deserves my mom. Am I anything like him? I like to say I'm fun. I'm confident. I have a nice physique. Have no money, haven't lived long enough to have that many cool stories, haven't been in enough schoolyard fights, not popular enough, not famous enough, not high enough status. I don't deserve, and this is going to sound a little bit weird, and I'm kind of like cringing saying this, but it's for the sake of the point, and don't be weird about it, but I don't deserve a woman who acts like my mother, who's feminine that way, who's willing to do all the housework and who's willing to take the kids to school and do all the birthdays and Christmases and holidays and all that type of stuff. If I don't deserve it, I'm a fucking, not to toot my own asshole, but I'm ahead of fucking 95, 99% of people my age in bunch of things. I'm in one of the highest educational programs in my country. I'm fun, I'm charismatic, I'm building on social media, whatever. I have an online business, which people don't know how much money I make, but it's not a lot, but I still get status from that. I don't deserve a wife yet. And that's the crazy bit. I deserve the pain of every single one of my breakups. You deserve the pain of every single one of your breakups. Because you either dated the wrong person, you were not good enough, which hurts to say and to hear. And that's why you're heartbroken. So you remember it, and it motivates you to do better. And you can either continuously have this happen to you, or you can improve so much that it never does again. And never do it in spite of the girl. Never wake up thinking, I'm going to show Katie who's boss. For one, I've never met a Katie I dislike. Katie's are fucking awesome. If your name is Katie, hit me up, Instagram, school.com, join my protocol, message me, DM me, we'll meet up. Was good. Never met a Katie I dislike. Anyways. But you need to make sure this doesn't happen again. And the easiest way to do that, to have infinite motivation, to have a group of people around you who are driven and who are taking action steps every single day trying to improve their life, that you get closer to me and you get more content from me and you get newsletters and posts and you get to respond to and you get to have a drive and deep, intricate conversation that is going to allow you to think deeply and think about deep-rooted problems in your life that's going to help you improve yourself to the absolute max. I have my completely free lock-in protocol and my newsletter that I post on daily. Sometimes multiple times a day, depending on how I'm feeling and what's happening in the world. Subscribe to my newsletter and join the lock-in protocol. Links in the description. If you just join the newsletter, you'll get an email telling you what the lock-in protocol is, how to join it, all that type of stuff. Do that right now. Just sign up to the newsletter. To be quite honest, you'll sign up to both at some point anyways if you keep watching stuff like this. But that is absolutely everything. Be the best version of yourself you can possibly be. Don't allow yourself to do this random bullshit of, I'm sad, so I'm just going to sit in bed. That's cancer on your mind. You need to remove it. You need to shift the emotion. You need to blink and shift the emotion to drive, to a little bit of anger, controlled. I had a volleyball coach who worked with some of the best volleyball players in the country. What he always said to us was, when we would do hitting drills, was be mindfully aggressive. Be aggressive. Go through life with a certain zest, with a certain anger, with a certain aggression. But keep it mindful. Keep it controlled. That's absolutely everything. My name's Brandon. Keep doing the best at doing your best. Join the lock-in protocol and subscribe to the newsletter. Signing off.